Dear women in STEM, it's so great to have this opportunity to speak with you. My name is Lillian Judy, and I'm so happy to have you with me today. The Dear Women in STEM podcast is a diary-style podcast designed to help women in STEM navigate the field. But not only that, it's a love letter to all the women in STEM who have ever been told that they're not good enough, they don't belong, or even those who just feel like they don't fit in. With your help, I'm going to answer common questions, offer support and guidance to you, and just really have a good kiki with you all as I share transparent stories and experiences with you. So buckle up and let's begin. Sincerely, Lillian Judy. Dear women in STEM, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Lillian Judy, and I'm really excited to be back with you guys. We're almost at the end of this season, and I think this season has really been about me sharing. It's been about my diary. I think I should even rename or repurpose this podcast as the Diary of a Black Woman in STEM, because I have really found myself sharing a lot about my personal experiences, a lot about how my life's journey has shaped me to being the woman in STEM that I am today, right? Today, I really want to shed light on something that I'm currently experiencing that I believe everyone experiences as well. And I want to start off by sharing this Bible verse. So it's Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1. It says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." I realized that life is a series of transitional periods, right? Or it's like at a point in time, you're a student and then you transition to become a professional. At a point in time, you're just single and then you transition to a married woman. At a point in time, you're a single individual and then you transition into a parent. So we're always transitioning into one thing or the other. For me, when I first moved to America in 2011, I didn't realize that was a transition. That was a transitional period in my life. I didn't realize that me getting on the plane and stepping out of Ghana. I was transitioning into a different person. I was actually stepping into the next phase of my life. To me, I saw it as, I'm just going to college. I'm just going to pursue engineering. But I didn't realize that it was a transition in my life. And then in 2013, when I experienced when I experienced my struggle, that was also another transition in my life. And I think that, when we go through transitions in life, we're always focused on getting out of or leaving that transitional phase. And we don't really focus on what you're supposed to get from that period of time. We're always focusing on the next thing. And I think I've shared this in previous episodes where, for me, having spent so much time in college, chasing after my degree, when I finally got it in hand and I was like, wow, so this is it. I felt nothing for a very long time because I was focused on getting this paper and I was missing out on so many things that were happening during that period of time. And if I could go back, I would really sit in that journey. I would really take in that journey. I would really learn everything that I need to learn in that process. And I think that even as you transition, there are so many things that you're supposed to put right along the way. For me, when I think back to 2013, I was really in a down season in my life, and I didn't realize that transition in 2013 was going to set me up for the rest of my life. I saw it as, I'm being given an opportunity for a second chance. And so that's really what this is all about. It's like, it's just a second chance to fix my failures and get it right and then keep it pushing. I didn't realize that I was transitioning. There was a mental transition that happened for me. There was a spiritual transition that happened at that point in time. And yes, there was a physical transition because I had to relocate physically. But then when I think back now, I realized that me transitioning at that point in my life really positioned me to receive a lot of the things that I've received now. In 2015, I experienced another transition. I graduated from my associate's degree and then I started my bachelor's degree. And that transition was It was less turbulent compared to 2013, but that transition required a lot more of me in terms of, me accepting my failures at that point in time and being able to stand in them and being able to grow through them. In 2013, the transition was more of make sure you can pick yourself back up. In 2013, I was literally transitioning from one school to the other with a bunch of Fs. In 2015, I was transitioning from one school to the other with a bunch of A's, with the dean's list and a bunch of stuff. So there were a bunch of transitions, basically. I don't know if I'm saying it the way that I really want to express myself. But today I want to highlight something to you, and because I find myself in a place where as a female engineer, right, I've spoken to a number of people and I realized that even when you transition into the professional space, for example, you've gone to school for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, however many years you've been in school for, and you've been chasing after this 1 degree or 2 degrees or 3 degrees, and you've come out and you're expecting to practice in a particular field, right? But then you don't realize that, yes, you start off practicing in that field, but then as time goes on, you may transition in your career. You could still transition. You will still transition. I know a number of people who always thought they were going to be scientists, but then they've transitioned into projects management. Some people that always thought they would be engineers, right? But then now they're even transitioning completely out of the industry that they practiced in, right? Maybe you started off in the life science industry and now you're ending up in the tech industry, right? That's another transition that you undergo. And so I want to place this before you for you to start opening up your mind to the fact that life is just a bunch of transitions that we all experience, we all undergo. And I think it's a rite of passage at this point in time, because I think a number of people always feel like, oh, because I went to school to study A, B, C, D, E, I must remain in A, B, C, D, E, but then it's not always like that. I find myself at a place where I want to transition in my career, but I'm not too sure where to go into at that point where I'm figuring out what the next phase of my career should be. And it's been a battle because I think I feel like I feel like I'm betraying the journey that I've been on. I'm betraying the struggles, the experience. I'm betraying everything that I've been through, all the suffering, everything that I went through to get to this point. It's you go to school for, let's say, 10 years, and then you work for 1 year, and then now it's like you don't want to be in that field anymore. That doesn't make sense. And so I think I'm battling with that a bit, because I still want to practice in engineering, but I'm not too sure in what capacity. And I think I've spoken to a number of female engineers, and the reality of the situation is that everybody has transitioned. Everybody I know has transitioned in one way or the other. And so it's just a matter of figuring out what is the best transition for you at this point in your life, right? Okay, so as we're still talking about transitional periods in your life, in your career, I think it also ties into your waiting season, right? I think sometimes we tend to, your transitional period could last longer than you anticipate, or it will last longer than you plan for it to last for. And so when that usually happens, we term it as your waiting season. And for me personally, I feel like, and I say this to a lot of people, I feel like I talk about when it comes to my education, my waiting season in terms of like waiting to graduate, right? I also had a transitional period that turned into a waiting season when I was looking for a job. I was job searching. And then another transitional period when it came to my immigration. And so when you go through waiting seasons, let me tell you, they can be the toughest things you can ever experience in your life, but they can also be some of the most beautiful experiences in your life. And I think for me, I I can't even believe I'm about to say these words. Like, I cannot. But I'm really grateful for my waiting seasons. And I can't sit here and say that I'm not going to go through another one. I pray and I hope I don't. But I'm really grateful for my waiting season. I strongly believe, at least if I'm to reference at least one of them, I will say that the waiting period for my education, that truly shaped me a whole lot. A whole lot. Let me also throw in the waiting period for my job. Like when I was searching for my job. Like when you go through rejection, when you go through failure, it's like you're trying so many things with your own might, with your own strength, and it's just not sticking. Like nothing is working out. It gets to a point where you're so drained and you're like, it's like there's nothing left in you. Like you have nothing else to give. And it's so crazy. I feel like God actually sets it up that way in a very, it's weird, but I think God sets it up that way so that you stop trying with your own strength and your own might and you start relying on Him, because we fail to realize that He put us in that position. He put us in that situation. And so He is the only one who can get us out of that situation. I feel like I need to do a whole episode specifically for waiting seasons, but I wanted to touch on it briefly to, encourage you, because you may find yourself in a waiting season. And I know I have a number of female friends who find themselves waiting to find the right man or to meet a man or to find themselves in the right relationship or waiting for marriage. And it seems as if, everything else in your life is all set, but then you're going on dates, you're trying everything and it's just not working. And they're always so frustrated. They're just always trying to figure out like what exactly is wrong, what's going on. And for me, I'm like, maybe there's something you're supposed to be doing during this period of time. It's not just, you're not supposed to sit and wait, right? You're supposed to do something during this period of time. For me, at least, if I could go back to my waiting period for school, for graduation, I remember one of the things that I had to do was really strengthen my relationship with God. Before I ended up in that position, I grew up in the church. I grew up in a Christian family, but I don't think I had developed that strong, deep relationship with God. And so when I was going through that, I feel like God was literally trying to pull me closer to Him with every single thing that happened. Like it got to a point where I could not rely on anybody. All the pastors can pray for me, all the prophets can give me the prophetic words, but it always went back to me getting on my knees and praying to God and Him directing me and Him helping me out. There was nothing I could do on my own. And so I think that sometimes God just wants to use that time period to draw you closer to Him. So I would advise you, if you find yourself in a waiting period, just seek God and ask Him, like, what is it that you want me to take away from this season of my life? What is it that you want me to learn? What are you trying to say to me in this time? What am I missing? Like, what am I not hearing from you? You know what I mean? It could be in marriage. It could be in your career. It could be a career change. It could be in even walking in your purpose. For example, it could be like, maybe you feel like you're supposed to be in this particular industry and maybe that's not what God really wants you to do. So like reaching out, like trying to figure that out, you find yourself in a waiting period. You find yourself in a transitional period. You find yourself in a waiting season, right? And so I hope this really encourages you. I hope this really helps you see whatever transitional period you find yourself in, whatever waiting season you find yourself in. It helps you see it differently. And also to remind you that, just as the word says, that for everything there is a time and a season for it, right? Everything is a season. Everything is a season. So it's not going to last forever. It's a season because seasons start, seasons end, right? Fall season is there, winter season is there, summer season is there. Everyone has their time. I just wanted to come on here and encourage you And yeah, I also want to pray and ask that whatever you're going through during this time in your life, that God will come through for you. And yeah, the next episode is actually going to be my last episode for this season. And I'm really excited because it's going to be a very, very special episode. And I really hope you tune in. I really hope you are able to listen in, because it's going to be it's an episode that's near and dear to my heart, right? I want to bring you guys a bit closer and deeper into what my journey has been like. I want to share a bit more about what this experience has been for me, and it's going to be released on a very special day in my life. And so I really hope that you guys are able to connect and tune in, and I will catch you guys next month on the 23rd of November right here. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to rate, don't forget to review. I need you guys to drop your reviews, because I can't see anything. But yeah, I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate the support. When I started this at the beginning of this year, I wasn't sure where this podcast was going to go, and it's been amazing the direction this podcast has gone. And I really cherish and appreciate everything that you guys have poured into this podcast, everything that just you guys listening to the episodes. It means so much to me. So I just want to say thank you so much. I love you all, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Sincerely, Lillian Judy.